Hey, John, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Yeah, come again.
Thanks for I
know. Good too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys, appreciate you
Come
guys.
back again.
Yeah.
Seriously. Come back. Oh, I know. Yeah. Thank you. All right, everybody, it's 6 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Josh Earl,
Present.
Gwen Hoffman, Mitch Magnus,
Present.
Larry Phillips,
Present.
Charlie Pierce,
Present.
Reed Petty,
Present.
Joel Williams,
Present.
Wayne Cone.
Present.
You have the full vote.
Okay, thank you. Wayne, would you pray for us, please?
So will do, would you please stand? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we come together thanking you tonight for this opportunity we have to sit here as a council and do work for the citizens of Harrison. Lord, as we go forth to celebrate Harrison's 150 and our country's 250, Lord, we just ask for your guidance and everything that we do with that. And Lord, that we will remain with the heritage that we started so many years ago. Lord, as we go forth with this business meeting tonight, we just ask for your guidance. And everything we do, let us do what's best for the city of Harrison. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. So we need an approval of the minutes of June 11th.
So moved.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll jump into department heads. We want to bring Chris. Hold on, Chief. Chuck, you want to come up?
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. All right.
Chuck's got, do you actually have ball games going on right now?
We're in a delay, that
We're in delay. Well, if we didn't have the turf,
they'd
they'd
already be gone.
go.
There we go. I got some exciting news. That's why I wanted to come up here. We're over 5,300 memberships inside, which is one of our goals to be at this time here. So that's great. We're still climbing. Had a great swim week last weekend. It went well. Summer rec the first 5 weeks has gone outstanding. We beat our numbers that we had last year. And we'll take the next week off. So we do a 5-week session, take the week off, and then we have another 5 weeks of summer rec. So that's going really good right now. Like the mayor said, this week, we have a national tournament going on with 160 teams that are playing here this week. There's about 60 of them out there at the complex right now waiting to play. That's another thing I want to say. The games are supposed to be from 8 to 8. And every time we get a lightning delay, it's not a rain delay, it's a 30-minute delay. It backs the games up. Our curfew is 10 o'clock at our parking. But for these two national tournaments, we've always made an exception. Unless you guys want to change that, I'm trying to work with them to get their games in. So we might go a little bit later, but I told them at 10 o'clock to cut out all the music and stuff like that might be interfering with the houses around, but the lights will still be on. So I just want to know if we're still good with letting them play maybe past 10 o'clock to get those national games. We have kids from 12 different states here playing. So I just want y'all to know what's going on out there in case you get a couple of calls or complaints in that area. That's what's happening. And it only happens 2 weeks out of the year for us. So are we good with me trying to work with them or?
So it sounds like you're looking for a motion.
I'm kind of looking for a motion so I can.
Okay.
I just know that we've been having some noise complaint issues and I just want everybody to know what's wrong with my facility. So
how would you like us to word that?
I would like the motion to say that for these national tournaments, that we have the ability to go later than our curfew parks facilities. And you can set the time on that motion if you'd like.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I have three people who said. No.
Yes.
I do,
Yes, he asked for direction.
to allow the teams to finish. So that all the players can play. I would take your courageous.
So we can extend, so you can extend it.
Like,
So we have a motion. We have a second? And a second, any discussion?
So you don't want to put any time on it, like midnight to have to be done regardless? But we can go till 2 AM.
I'd like to make this third, unless, I mean, if you want me to set it
How
down.
many,
There's a
What was the motion?
motion was to allow them to go past 10 o'clock. Believe.
Okay.
Was it not, James?
This will be happening every year, hopefully. That's why I'd like to just go ahead, so I have the ability to tell them what we need to do going forward.
Well, I could obviously stop it if we get enough complaints for next year.
Yeah.
Just so give you cart, blank check for the next 15 years, I don't like that,
Right,
but
right.
you generally know that, but again, how many teams are being inconvenienced by going past 10, we're not allowed to go past 10? 5 teams, 8 teams?
well, let's just.
So there's 8 field, there's 7 fields, so 14 teams.
14.
Up 10 to 15 fields.
If there's not another strike of lightning now, how many games remain to be played?
We gotta get 3 more in right now, the latest that they were gonna start one, the last conversation I had before I left was 10:30. So that would put finishing at 11:30.
And if we continue to have lightning between now and 7 p.m.,
It would push it back if we get permission to go past that time.
Looks like regardless of how we vote, God will decide.
Right.
So what is the standard practice in other cities and what options are available to these teams, either way discussed?
Well, in my past experience of traveling to some of these tournaments and doing it, like the ones that aren't around us, the housing divisions, it doesn't matter. But the ones in the subdivisions, sometimes they have curfews, like the lights have to be out at 12 o'clock. Like everything shuts down because the lights go off, but they don't turn them back on like that's, I know that's wrong policy, because it happened to us one night, we were playing in the middle of the game. It was the light curfew, they would turn the lights back, on, so the games were over.
If these teams are forced to leave Harrison because there is a curfew, will there be a financial impact on the city?
It's always gonna be, I mean, we've already made $4,000 at the concession, day was just the delays. So if we're able to play the games, we're gonna make more money in the concession, the lightning delays are great for us for concession. But, I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna pass the motion because of that, but there's a benefit to getting the games in, yes, sir. Some of these teams might actually spend the night here because they might play here tomorrow.
Guys, I just looked at the lightning map. I don't know if you looked. It goes from here all the way to Fayetteville and it's big and it looks like we've got a couple hours of lightning. Just, that's what it looks like from.
Yeah, tonight is probably, I mean, if I was probably running the tournament and I looked at what the mayor just looked at, I'd probably say, hey, let's try to work the games in tomorrow or Saturday. But I'm not charging this one. I'm working with someone that's running the tournament.
And aren't these tournaments, some of these games, some of the kids' last games? Potentially of the season?
Yes, this is a national tournament. Yeah, so this is probably the last week. I play this.
Call for a vote.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? There you go, Chuck.
Thank you.
Play ball.
Thank you.
And you go after 10 o'clock.
Okay, I will cut the music, I'll make sure all the noise I can cut myself will be cut, I promise that. The great news I wanna tell you is we got 4th of July coming up and to help celebrate 150 for Harrison, that day from 12 to 4, we're gonna go to the city outdoor pool and let everybody swim in the. So we want to make sure I got that out of you, we knew what we were doing with that, so we're hoping a lot of people show up. And then I wanted to say during that week that we're not doing some rain, we've sent out the flyer to the Creekside and some other things we have going on for the kids to be able to participate in. It's not like we just cut them loose and we don't want them in our facility, so, well, we communicate with parents on that. So, any questions, Mark? Okay, I'm gonna head back out to the complex. All
right.
I'll keep you.
Show you, Chief Brady,
That's pretty cool.
good job, Charlie.
Sorry.
Chief,
Can you turn it down a little
If I turn it down, it turns down the volume for the live stream.
I'll talk over. I got some videos I want to share with y'all while I'm giving my report, and I'll explain what they are. This week, our department has they gonna play. Our department has the track, state police track, Camp Robinson. There we go. I guess the guys thought it would be neat to have this set of music, I don't know. Anyway, we're down there all week long, Arkansas State Police, training track. It's on Camp Robinson's base. We reserved it last year for a week. We're down there all week long, no cost. Once again, the great partnership we have with the Arkansas State Police. And, you'll see here in just a minute, we're using their vehicles, their equipment, their track. Our officers are being lodged in the barracks there at Camp Robinson all week. Of course, half officers will go down for the first part of the week, and then the other half go down for the last part of the week. But this is no, of course, this course here is a high speed course. You can probably tell he was driving really fast through most of that. There'll be another, when we come up here in a minute, it's called the cone course. It's more of a finesse course, but it's under time, so they're under stress, but they meet certain times too. State police, offer their instructors to our instructors. We actually have two here at Harrison that are emergency vehicle operation course certified instructors. We call them EVOC. And it's just a great benefit that we have, that we can go down there and use that at no cost. So.
So this isn't for fun.
Oh, no.
It's all being police officers who, in cases, they may enjoy the aspect of not having to be in a high-speed pursuit and just driving to the.
Well, you still have to pass.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
yeah, Pat, so it is training.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, some of the officers, we had some last year that was pretty stressed out because they were having trouble with the cones and the time. They were not completing the course in the amount of time. So, and it's a pass or fail. So that's something we have to look at. I'm not for sure which one this is. They sent me 3 videos. This looks like the cones. But as you'll notice, we're using their vehicles, so. They're gracious enough to provide all this, so it'd be crazy not to take it, so I try to get this secured for a week every summer. And, in addition to our TBI training, which we do here at the airport, we do that every 2 years. We're doing this every year. And it's going through curves, corners, backing up, stopping before the big cones, things of that nature. And, most of them look forward to it though, because I told them, I said, this is where slip up. Take out 15 cones, who cares?
Right,
You're not crashing into them.
that's what I'm saying, it's training.
Right. And that's what we
We're
encourage.
better at our job, by the way.
Right, that's what we encourage them to do. We're down there all week with that. Most of y'all have the form there in front of you. A couple things that I've just noticed, which this is May, but we're not quite halfway through the year, but a couple things that we're down in breaking and entering. 15 last for 4 this year. We're down in assaults, 51 and 42. We're down in thefts, 65 and 44. We're down in calls, 9,700, 7,100. A couple of things we're up in. Burglaries. Residential burglaries are up from 2 to 3. So 5 months, we've had 3 compared to the same time last year, and DWIs are up 5 months. This here is the urban course, this is more for street, our city driving, the way it's set up. As you can see, there's some different, more type turns, like you're driving in an urban area. Anyway, that's what we're doing. We've been with that, most people do. All of them should be home tomorrow evening. Other than that, that's all I have.
Any questions for Chief Grady?
You find that the resident in commercial break-ins are kind of in the same area, or are they always statistically different?
They're different, I mean, different locations, just like, if we have someone who's going to be, I think we're having lovely, it's all in the same neighborhood. There's no advice. I've not been advised. So I think we've only had 2 commercial issues this year, and I think that's all we take life. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Wayne?
Also a handful of items here, Golden Drive's moving along fine, except rain's not helping. But we've got, it's like good weather next week, contractors prepared to keep it going. They've had good progress. Target first day of school, August 10th, have that road open report. Only real concern I have out there right now is the lighting contractor is quite a bit behind as far as just having street lights installed. That doesn't prevent us from opening the road, but it concerns me that and trying to coordinate with them and some of their other projects they have in town for these contractors. So we're working to get them, hopefully, working on all these projects. One item out of the wastewater plant, we have Catherine worked with Donald. We've been monitoring the pathogens in the wastewater. It's a program that we're working with the CDC. And we've been doing it for a few years, and it's used by health officials just to get a snapshot of what's going on with communities. Like an example, there's been times when FA has picked up, we've been hitting positives in that, and so they actually, health department comes up, they can take care of certain places where hand washing is important, do some training, and we kind of watch it drop out. We started posting that on the website just to share with people. Lawrence pushed it out, and she's worked with that wastewater manager Catherine, so it's a chance, this is something interesting, we'll do weekly updates. It's kind of interesting, just using wastewater to kind of track health trends in the community. It's an ongoing study across the country to where it can help us react to health concerns in the community at times, see related to emergency, stuff like that. Touch real quick on highway projects. Bridges moving along pretty good. Main issue out there again is the lighting contractor. They have been out there this week working to get piers drilled for replacing signal lights on the north end of that bridge that need to go back up. Our intersections on the north side of town, there's been a little bit of night work over the last couple of weeks, but not a whole lot. Again, same lighting contractor, really crew in town, so trying to push things through has been a challenge. And then the highway widening project, I understood it did come up a little bit last week. And we had expected it this year, possibly next year. Now it's looking 2-3 years out before we see construction. We're still proceeding with our water and sewer relocations. I think I made it last month. We submitted our plans and relocation agreement to IDOT. We're just waiting for them to sign off on it so we can get easements and get prepared to go out to bid. That's a pretty significant job. With it looking like that project being bumped back 2-3, probably 3. Nothing's official, but I think what I'm hearing is pretty good. And I think the information that's been getting out. We got a pretty significant commitment from our infrastructure fund as far as our partnering with RDOT. So now that commitment is 2-3 years out before we're having to pay it. So I'm hoping next month we're kind of bringing the plan on different projects and use of infrastructure and also street funds, over the next 12 to 18 months. Since I've got a little bit more available. I hope, I guess you could say, so I was hoping that project would be quicker. One of them is probably do another hefty overlay program next summer. Not quite as much as this year, but somewhere in that $1.5 million range, kind of working the numbers. We've submitted Main Street to the it's called State Aid for City program. We can get up to $400,000 for that. So I've actually submitted Main Street to get it overlaid and redone through that program. It'll cost a little bit more than $400,000, but anything we can get will help. And it's been a while since we've used funds from that program, so I think we've got a pretty good high chance of getting selected in this round. I'll go over more later. The build grant that we submitted on the Gibson Road project. Info is supposed to be released this week, maybe early next week, as far as what the awards are. I want to be optimistic that we've got a really good shot, but these are extremely competitive. So hopefully next time we get together, if it's good news, you're probably here from me. I'll share that one pretty quick. We planning commission earlier this week. There was an alley abandonment request, different from the one we're talking about tonight. It was denied by the commission, and then there was also a conditional use permit request for a charter school on Main Street. That one did get approved by the commission with quite a few conditions on it. So I'll be working with the people running the school over the next several weeks as they're getting ready for school. Main concerns, obviously, is there's some impact traffic around the area. That's what we've got. Planning commission's got some requirements for traffic meters, just so we have to.
That's gonna be really significant.
It will be significant, and then one of the other conditions is actually is a hard occupancy on the building itself of 299 people. That includes student staff, visitors, anybody that's there. So that limits really how many students they can have there right now. Otherwise, there was no historic district commission meeting this month. The other project and a lot of other stuff in routine. I'm assuming we probably did quite clean up tomorrow morning with different areas again. And then one other thing I did want to point out, the new bridge, we had quite a bit of debris filled up on that over the last few weeks with some of the heavy rains that we've had, and coupled with not having a lot of heavy rains earlier in the year, with a lot of brush built up out upstream, I guess you could say, from the bridge. RDOT actually, they sent their crews down and got the bulk of that cleaned up. We'll be having ongoing discussions about how that's going to happen, how that's going to work in the future. We really didn't have the equipment, manpower to deal with what was collected on the bridge this time. We've done it in the past, but this was more than what we've done. Other than that, you have to answer the questions. Anything is left out.
So on the expansion, do they ask, they keep saying we're gonna push it out, or when are they gonna say when it's gonna be, or? Because, we got people that are depending on that.
At some point, the director's office will present a layer, a whole bunch of shifting in their schedules on a lot of their projects around the state, the highway commission. Once they, pin for the director's office and the commission sign off on everything, then I'm fairly confident that it will this job there.
Good. So, how long does it take them to respond and actually do that?
I do not have an answer for that.
Okay.
That's, I know they're looking at shifting lots of projects around the state on their schedule. I don't know how they're gonna get everything laid out.
So, it's not just our business owners, just business owners all over the state.
I think this is a trend across the state.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of shortfalls in funding because construction costs are so high. And then it's also dealing with utility locations that continuously got worse and worse. And I'm not trying to badmouth any of our utilities, it's just they're busy trying to maintain, expand their systems, and then also trying to get stuff relocated for all of the highway and road work, so they're having trouble keeping up. And so I think it's a combination of those two things that are really stretching on a lot of weight. a lot of planned highway work in our area in the state.
Well, I'm sure utilities like every other business, staffing is an issue.
Yes, it is.
Okay, any more questions for Wade? Gwen, I believe you. Reed, go ahead.
Reed, could you advise the current status of the traffic signal at Highway 43 Cottonwood Road?
It should actually be back in operation. We had a controller. What, did you come through or?
Oh, was it out today?
Yeah, they were out there working on it this afternoon. So we had a controller go out. Unfortunately, with that type of controller, we usually have 3 backups. One of those backups ended up getting used at Prospect and 65 last week. One had already been sent off to get repaired. And then so our third backup actually had a problem. So we had sent it off to get repaired too. We're supposed to have all of our backups. Today, Brian actually came to me about mid-afternoon saying everything's here, they were gonna have to put it in. I've just not heard from them.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, Gwen.
I was just gonna say, the ability for us to have these projects rely on tax that we just passed.
Yes.
We have to have money to commit to these projects because they don't pay 100%. But having that and now about the sunset, that allows us to make better future plans.
It does allow me to plan a lot better. That's kind of, when I was talking about coming up with that 12 to 18 plan on what we're going to spend, I can feel a little more comfortable bringing, that fund down, knowing, especially with some of the other commitments we have in the future. The other, we're working through our rate study for water and sewer that we have to do now for the state law. The draft is done. We're getting everything sent to Arkansas Natural Resource Commission. Everyone's going to review it. I don't know when we'll get it for that. We have a year to act on it, so there's nothing to be in a hurry about. But as we've gone through this process, being able to commit some of that infrastructure fund now that it's permanent to this is going to help suppress the rates for water and sewer, keep them from seeing some of the increases that we've been seeing at the across the state.
Wait, on the street lights or the signal lights, what are some of the challenges they're facing and do they have any type of consequence for not? I mean, are they on a timeline as well?
They are, every one of these projects that they're on, we have schedules and completion dates that are part of our contract. And I can't speak to the detail of the RDOT projects. But I do know that they will have liquidated damages. There are consequences. The situation we're at right now, and I'll just be blunt, the bridge project, we all want done, their contract time they still got a little bit of contract. But they want it done soon. Our signals on the north side of town, they got that weather delays and some other delays that we can control the contractors, so they have a lot more time. Goblin Drive doesn't. We have substantial liquidating damages. So you're having to work with this contractor, all of the contractors, because what's going to happen is if I hold them to having lights in before school starts, they're going to leave every little job, focus on that one, because that's the one that's their time crunch for liquidating damages. I will hold the feet from fire, I do, but I also don't want these 3 intersections delayed for 3 more months. So that's where there's been coordination with RDOT, the city, general contractors as well. So in a pretty contentious meeting last week, trying to get stuff here. So the challenges, I'm hesitant to say what they are because then I'm basically that, but they're certainly.
All right. And Gotham Drive, the grass, the way it looks right now, I mean, is that the city's responsibility to be cleaning that up, or is that gonna be part of the project? When it's finalized, like the roundabout, the grass?
Oh, that all gets solved. They'll actually,
Flooding.
one final flooding.
Like the flooding of the sidewalks. Or rocks that are on it.
They'll still have to be found, they're solid seed. And one of the drawbacks to the light contractor not getting all the street lights in is you can't be found clean up on a lot of stuff until they get to, they got the church with the side.
Okay.
But no, like the roundabouts get solid, and so that I don't think that would really good. Yeah, it looks like construction.
And the side of the roads will all get socked too, or grass, grown.
Yes, so through the prairie, we've actually preserved and worked with the Nature Conservancy. So that we actually reestablished that with the native grasses, harvested seed from the prairie itself. So we never saw it down there, a lot of the other areas where we saw it.
Okay. Thank you, Wade. Chief Lowry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In my report, I gave you all a copy of that, it's lay in front of you. It's a little longer than usual. So I had a double sided, but kind of breaks down some calls into details, so see how some of the medical calls and the types of injuries and illnesses we deal with on a daily basis. First page talked about the business license we have, started sending out separate notices on those, we would serve that hadn't been paid. And on all inspections and stuff, we should have a good page in there about our training hours, again, that goes back to another ISO thing, it's like beating a dead horse, but ISO requires so much of us. And one of those things is training hours, every one of us had to have a certain amount of training hours every month. One of the of interest I was gonna show you, and we talked about, again, helping our community, on the incident count by 8 out of mutual aid automatic aid call. We had 32 in May. That's, used to, I said we might have 10 or 12, and as you can see, May was ridiculous. The calls that we went out. Now, a lot of those are, canceled. So what happens is when they have an accident somewhere in the county or another county and they ask us to respond, they want to get us on the road before they know a lot of information. We're that much closer. We can be turned around a lot easier than we can get right. So it's we may get, for example, with the 43 and 21, Ponca, sounded bad. Luckily, by the time people got there, they realized we weren't doing it. They canceled. So no harm, no foul. But we extricated 3 different accidents last month, out in the county. One of those was due to Bryce's incident, that took us 2 hours to get that driver out of that truck. We had 3 working structure fires in the county last month. Couple of those, one of those was 2.5 hours that we was there. And so, we're spending a lot of time out there. Hikeouts and water rescues, as you can tell, we have a good, knock on wood, we've not had anything in the city because we keep our gates closed, as quickly as possible. But we've had several out in the county. The guys went out to Richland Campground last month and spent 11 hours on that call. They were gone at 1 a.m. till they got back about 1 o'clock the next afternoon. So again, these calls that like this, a couple of hikeouts in Hemden Hollow, so on and so forth. So you can see there's quite a bit of stuff that we've done, that we do out. And the rest of it is kind of, again, the breakdown of the calls by type, kind of gives you a little information. A lot of times I have to laugh because a lot of times those calls are put in when the guys do them, they may hit the wrong button and it puts it under the wrong call or call line. So last page is your clean premise. The mayor likes us to show that. It shows you kind of where they're at and what the problem was. And there was several again, the last month or so. Any questions, comments?
Okay.
Complaints?
All right, thanks. Thank you.
I'll just update briefly, because I know we'll be talking later, but the sales tax, we did get a sales tax number, and for the first time, I don't have good news to give you. It didn't quite reach what we had last year, or even our budget for this month. Of course, this is April sales, and I think we all know the last 3 months, starting kind of mid-March and into April, is when the gas prices started jumping up, and that is usually a direct reflection of what we see spent being on other goods. So people have to have gas, so they spend it on that, and they don't spend it on other things. So I do anticipate over the next couple of months being down over last year. But I'll keep monitoring, let you know, where we're at.
So Luke and I have had this conversation multiple times. And this is one thing related to this tax. Again, I'm not advocating for or against. A lot of people think I'm automatically for it. I do believe we should be cognizant of the people's money and only spend what we can. But I've told Luke this on multiple occasions. These things are cyclical. If you have a drop in sales tax, eventually we're not gonna have record months and it's gonna flatline. Costs are gonna continue to escalate. So at some point, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the future, you're gonna see costs trying to catch up with these record amounts. And that's just the nature of the cyclical financial events that happen within the community. So while you may be getting record sales taxes now, it's not like all of a sudden it's gonna drop and you may have an economic drop or whatever in your community. And at that time, I will point it out, the taxes that are in affects it more than if you actually understand the city administration and the taxes that we have by ordinance. The public safety tax that we currently have that's in addition to the general tax that we're trying to pass. That is based on budgeted revenues. So if your sales tax falls, police and fire, they get the tax based on budgeted revenue, that number's got to come from somewhere else, which is other parts of the budget. So it's easy to say how this affects one versus the other, but wow. If you have 6 months of this, it would be the beginning of the stressful.
Yeah, and then the only reason I mentioned it, if it was 1%, 2%, I would mention it, but it's over 10% down from last year. So again, we'll monitor. It's nothing to be alarmed at right now, but we'll continue to monitor and make sure.
And obviously, if you're buying gasoline, the reason that affects your sales tax is you don't have money for things that are sales taxable.
Right.
You're not buying as much in groceries, you're not buying a new car, you're not buying a dishwasher because gasoline does not carry sales tax.
Correct. Not per se.
If it forgets in Arkansas, there is no sales tax.
Right, no sales tax. There are other taxes. but not sales.
Exactly, but then it'll go up or down based on, their fix.
Sure.
Okay. Good deal. Thank you. Were you done?
Yeah, that's all I have for the park reports of this.
Good. Okay, we'll move on to business items. It looks like you, Mitch.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Council, the first item is 3 budget adjustments that we have, and I'll let Richard step up. 2 of them are really straightforward. This last, from the first one, for the $525,000 adjustment. I want to make sure we understand what's in there. So this is a budget adjustment as far as costing, but do you have any budget adjustment that ends up in hundred?
I will, I don't have the final number, because we were tweaking the cost. And the amount that we get on revenue depends on our cost.
Right.
But if you remember several months ago, you all had actually approved for us to go out for a grant. That grant, was for a splash pad and some playground equipment out at the baseball complex. And, what we're doing is, it is $400,000 in expenses. However, our grant match portion was 150,000. So we matched 150. Some of that's gonna be in kind, so that actually won't show up on this particular line item. 150 is coming from the grant money, and then if you remember, Kiwanis is actually putting in $100,000 to fulfill everything that we wanted. They didn't give us the full grant amount, so that's why we reached out with a good partner that we had. We had a lot of them. But Kiwanis was actually a good partner with this one, and it's again just some of those things that we really need for community projects. But this particular one is going to cost us $400,000, and that's why I'm asking for that budget adjustment.
Clarification, we will have a budget adjustment later when we have received money. This is strictly cost on.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make that point. So we want to do these individually. City attorney, I'd ask you, do you want to do each one of these budget adjustments individually, or should we,
They can be together.
okay, we'll bundle them? Bundle them, great. Next two are basically trading line items. We have, $25,000. To separate legal from municipal league dues, so it's. In one side for 25,000 and out on the other side, about that.
Yes.
So again, explain it so the public understands.
Sure,
We're raising which one?
we are raising the legal fees because we've always paid for it out of dues and subscription. It just doesn't make sense that it's out of dues. We're paying for legal support from municipal people.
We're reducing our dues.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's a wash. It's one. Those two are.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the three budget adjustments as presented. I'll read them off. That presented by CFO.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Have a second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you, Mitch. Looks like, hey, you've got the next two.
Like Wade, are you gonna speak on this one?
Yes, sir. I placed a couple of 11 by 17 plats at each seat. This item, you know, I wrote on the top of the one that matters for this is resolution 1352. So I was approached a while back by the attorneys for the company that bought Maple Church Apartments off Highway 43. Inbox is sold out on that. When they were doing surveys and everything, they discovered that there's a utility easement owned by the city of Harrison that goes through one of the buildings. So we're trying to figure out, long story short, everything was built the way it was supposed to, looking back at the old plans. Our sewer line that was actually installed by the developer and turned over to the city is not in that easement, fortunately, because otherwise it would be going into the building. Basically what happened was there was a scrivener's error, you know, when the original easement description was being written back when this was originally done. And so we talked about some different options: vacate, redo it, relocate. The attorneys eventually just asked if we could just do an easement modification agreement. That basically just means it's a blanket easement on the property for us to access, maintain, deal with our utilities. It's pretty clean way of doing it that saves some of the other. We're not reducing easement access to us or any other utilities that are located out there, so it takes us out of some of the notification. But still gives us all the rights. And
You're actually increasing your easement bill.
we are. It's
The benefits.
so the resolution simply authorizes the mayor to execute the agreement as to do the easement modification. There's several other people that will have to execute because there is a mortgage on the property.
Chairman Conley, I make a motion to approve the resolution 1352 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Wayne?
Okay, the next one, Wade's gonna address also.
Yeah, this is an ordinance to vacate an alley right of way. This is what we had the public hearing on at our last meeting. I put another 11 by 17 out there just to give you a better vision of it out there off of Normandy Lane, West Park in that area. I circled it in red, but the purple and yellow is highlighted is what's described as the old alley easement, alley right of way that would be abandoned by ordinance 1551. And it is a 3-read ordinance. There is no hurry, so it's up to the council whether you want to move forward.
We're only abandoning a portion. Why is that?
Because that's all that exists as of right now. It's both the purple and the yellow, and then it does not extend any further to the east beyond. It was weird. It was a couple of different subdivisions, but to each other.
So, but you're only asking for abandonment in purple.
No, purple and yellow.
Oh, purple, yeah, oh, yeah.
The original request was just for the purple. Planning commission expanded it to
Make a motion that we suspend the rules, place ordinance number 1551 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Ordinance number 1551, an ordinance vacating alley right of way within the Highland Park subdivision.
Second reading. All right, continuing on in mind is ordinance number 1552 for its first reading. This is on the sales tax issue.
And make a motion, we suspend the rules and put this number 1552 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You want to explain what that is?
You don't need to continue on with this.
Yes, we want you to continue on with the discussion that we started, and we want to elicit as much comment as we can. This is a great ordinance, as most of them are, and I think, obviously, I don't know what our deadline is, that we have to have all three readings done and passed and adopted.
I believe the latest is 70 days prior to the election, so that puts us towards the end of August. There's no need for a rush through this. We can.
Well, and again, I'll point this out, we need to vet this as much as we can with the general public. A lot of individuals think that we threatened them with whether it's ISO or if you're a police officer. I'll point it out again, the night of the vote, I told you we have to lose 7 to 9 police officers, somewhere between 4 and 7 fire departments. And I even gave you the positions that night, if you remember, because this is so incredibly straightforward that you can't get around it.
It's just, there's too much money.
And the public is certainly within their right to do it. We have anti-tax people out there, we have anti-spend people out there, we have anti-government people out there. But we have a lot of people that just are pro police department, pro fire department, and even pro general pro the administration as far as some of the things. So let's continue on with your analysis so we see not just what police and fire would have to cut, but what the rest of the budget would.
Yeah, and if you all want to look at page 1 of 20, what it says, it's actually on the second page of that. It shows the title, the ballot title, which you'll read is different than the previous one, Grissom, and which is good thing.
So our PowerPoint presentation.
No, things I think is fair.
So how's it different? That out.
The main difference is the title and the ballot. That being the previous title and the previous ballot numbers did not include the words police and fire. It was specifically general fund is all it said. This actually lists out police, fire, and other general services. Thank you. I remember the exact.
So is the body of the ordinance the same? If you redlined it, would it be the same? Or is it just the title that has changed?
There's some other items in the ordinance that identify the percentages that go to police and fire in the ordinance.
There's a change as what it was done before, or was that arbitrary?
We didn't have percentages in the previous one. I will say we made it a little more identifiable, so 65% goes to police and fire. 35, and I want to make sure I got those rates right. 65 police and fire, 35 for the general.
Was that right down in the previous one?
In the previous one, it was based off of 2014 budget. So it could move by percent, like 0.02, 0.05, it could move every year.
So we're basing our spending on 2014, even though it was fairly close.
That is what the 2015 sales tax, the public safety tax did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and rather than saying just general, we explained, we broke that down, what that means.
Yeah, the general services.
It's not like it goes to me.
And I will actually talk about that up here. We say general, I want you to understand that that's not just admin. It has several different departments in it, along with the allocation that we had for police and fire. So we do have administration, but we also have accounting, we have maintenance, people that work on the vehicles that we have, that we bring in, the police and the fire vehicles, along with other public works vehicles. We have buildings and grounds, they help if we have any issues at any of the buildings, or if we're mowing some of the grounds, some of the parks. There's a lot of different things, so this includes plus safety, which helps take care of, remind me if I'm wrong, way on safety. I'm not
The safety is administering our safety program at Public Works. And for water and sewer through department. That's also where safety training and all that. That's also where we run our CDL training program. Runs the app, we do our own CDL training for the last year and a half or 2 years. So that's the primary.
Drug testing as well.
Yeah, handles schools drug testing.
So, again, there's quite a few things in there, along with some court costs, so we pay for the use of the courts out of the general fund as well. I didn't list that particularly on there, because there's nothing we can do to cut that, those positions, but we do have to pay for that. And again, we refer back to personnel. Personnel makes up 60% of the budget. The reason that's not quite as big is because of all the other projects that we do within the general fund. But you will see the personnel that we're looking at having to cut because of that. We have a public relations person, we have a human resources person, which we didn't have 4 years ago. And we do it on our own. So each department then takes care of their own and takes away from the time that they need to be spending on their own department. It's one of the best things we did was grabbing an HR person. It just freed up a lot of the department heads their time. We also have a buildings and grounds. Again, the people that are taking care of some of the mowing and some of the buildings. We have a maintenance person. We go back to one maintenance person versus two. So when we have snow events, we have to then rely on the people that are coming back in to, they get kind of their own equipment ready, versus having the maintenance guy there preparing that equipment to be right back out on the road to clear some of those nasty roads whenever it gets that time. Of course, the economic development contracts are the things we have to cut as well. We have 3 of them, one of them will be in the chamber, another one, most recently, the Main Street Harrison, and then the Boone County Museum. We have some storage stuff that we have, we would have to cut those contracts.
So just to quantify those, let's make sure everybody understands, how much do we pay Chamber?
It's 50.
Okay, how much do we
Main
pay?
Street is 20 and Boone County Museum is 4.
Okay.
And I've got those listed here, or the total listed here in just a second.
Look back up.
Yep.
So if we wanted to keep, for example, the human resources. You'd have to find somewhere, like, you couldn't keep the chamber and do, like, if you lost another person, you could keep those. Like and I don't know how many people are in the administrative, or in accounting or in any of those, but like if Wade, let's say that Wade lost two buildings and grounds members. You could probably save the chamber contract to Main Street and Boone County Museum, right?
You could, but you couldn't know everything.
Right, I'm just saying, people have asked me, they said, surely to gosh, we can make adjustments, and I've told them, I think the department heads are gonna decide where they think the money's best used. But we very well could make that 2 buildings and grounds and save those contracts. If the public valued those and came to us, we could.
That's what
If they would wanna cut none of the buildings and grounds, we'd have to find the money somewhere else, whether it be a police officer, fireman, or something like that, correct?
I don't think that you can do another police officer and a fireman above and beyond. Because this is specifically dedicated, those amounts are specifically dedicated to.
So that's the percentage that we've got in the ordinance, so you can't, you're hamstrung by that ordinance to this.
Correct.
With these cuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Additional, things we would have to look at taking out, of course, we've been talking about these matching grants. We did one for the splash pad, we did one with pickleball, I believe Rotary was the one that helped with that. They actually just gave us a check today. And and so we appreciate them as being partners. But that was a partner or a grant that we did. And we partnered with them to try to build something, so that particular project wouldn't have been able to be done, you need bike trails, being part of the AMP, and those concerts that we've been able to do. Also any downtown improvements, the lighting we've done, the pocket park that we're getting ready to start on, the trees that have been planted, the hanging baskets, I know we put some money towards those, the Christmas lights that we put money towards, so all those are different downtown improvements that we've done, that have come out of this general fund as far as projects.
Now, playing devil's advocate, here, I ask you this question today. Was it the bike trail part of the, Parks and Rec?
So it is part of the system, however, whenever we pay for those, a lot of times it comes out of the general fund projects that we do, because the parks is paying for the maintenance, the continued operations of parks. Now, if there is additional funding, yes, we continue to look at parks to be able to fund some of that, but unfortunately, there's not been any for the last few years.
The reason I'm pointing this out was, so the 0.25% that we get per parks is for operations, not for infrastructure.
Right.
Just pointing it out. I don't want there to be any misunderstandings.
Okay.
And when we get questions and people say, well, why didn't you ask more questions? We're asking, I know the rain got us here tonight. That's gotta be part of it. There's 3 people told me they'd be here that are not here. But I'm trying to get us as much input as we can.
I appreciate it. This is kind of the way that breaks down, the sales tax portion, for general fund. This, again, remember, we budget 1.6 million roughly, for, this 0.25% sales tax. The general portion of that amounts to 574,000, about 35%. Those cuts that you're looking at there, personnel totals 285. There's not as much equipment and operations, in that, but those contracts that we talked about totaling 74, and then our community upgrades, the money that we put towards those this year and the last couple of years. That's where we get a total of 633, so it's a little bit over. Obviously, we'd look to minimize that. If we could save a person, we would. We just have to take a look and see what we could do.
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, I did something, I called Luke and went through this today. I called the Arkansas Economic Development Institute to verify my numbers. And my numbers at the top end, they confirmed the bottom end. They said your math is good, but we wouldn't certify your numbers. What does this cost the average citizen, not in Harrison, but in Boone County? Because they couldn't get numbers on Boone County or on Harrison specifically. And so when I went through it, the average Arkansan pays $1,668.30 per year in sales taxes at an average rate of 9.46%. Ours would be 9.5% if this passes. And again, that is the lowest amount. You always say 20,000 people, but it's the lowest amount for a city from 7,000 to 24,000. You're not talking about this. You're trying to just say be generic. So I'm going to be generic with this amount. How much does it cost somebody that lives in Boone County for this 0.25% tax? Anybody would have any guess at all? It's somewhere between just under $14 at the minimum and $44 at the maximum if you're at the median income for the state of Arkansas. Boone County is not at the median income. It's at 30% of the median income for the state. So based on that.
What's median income?
The median income in the state of Arkansas is $53,500 a year. The median income in Boone County, and it's skewed heavily toward males. For a male, it is $29,000. For a female, it is $19,000. For families, it's $32,000. Now, I went through the math in 3 different ways. I came at it 3 ways. There's no way to do it other than this. It will cost you between $13 and 37 cents. So to be generic, like I told Luke, $14 a year for this tax. That's really what people need to know. How much does this cost me? So for what you get per person, Jeff Nielsen will pay, his median income probably higher than the median. The most he's gonna pay is $44 before that he gets.
Yeah, I think, Mitch, I think the key point is they're not gonna pay any more than they have been paying.
Right,
That's the bottom line, Chris. You're not gonna pay any more.
that's
It's
correct.
not like you're paying this 13 to 44. You're gonna pay the same that you have been.
Am I correct in that another way to break it down is like spending 3 cents for every $10 that you spend? Is that,
On,
or like if I purchase $10, that's gonna be 3 cents of this gonna be sales tax. That,
That's accurate. That's accurate.
just generally speaking,
Yes, that is accurate.
just a,
on this particular one.
yes.
I got you.
And that we're paying today. This is not an increase.
It's not an
Not
increase.
an increase.
And
So there is no 3 cents. It's zero.
That they wouldn't be paying any more than what they would.
That's right.
And my other question was, this tax was initially voted on in like 2002.
2002.
So we've had this in play for 24 years.
Correct.
And it has served us well.
Correct.
I believe so.
And we're drilling down now more into where this goes and how it's spent.
I would, it's not even an argument, that's where it's being spent.
And such, so we're locking that in with this verbiage. I understand why folks may have been hesitant in the voting booth.
Sure.
And if you're not secure in what you're voting for, you're gonna say no.
Right, absolutely.
But we've improved the verbiage, the understanding, and we've giving the public the opportunity to come talk to us. Ask those questions, or allowing time to get those questions answered for you. We want to hear from the public. I've seen so many comments where you don't hear. I have yet to hear, other than in some meetings that I've been in, I received feedback on things and it's been positive. But as a council member, I've not had one general public person call me or contact me on this. So don't sit there and tell me you don't listen, we don't listen, when you don't bother to contact me. I'm easy to find. Reach out, and just because you say something on Facebook, take that and other initiative and call your council person. Call any council person and talk to them.
And hopefully, hopefully we've given you this information. Please take this home with you. If you do get calls and maybe, you can help explain where this money goes, what it's for, what we use it for. I'd be happy, and I know I've made this offer other times as well. I'd be happy to sit down with someone if they want to come in and look at the budget. Look at our financials, please. I'll be happy. There's nothing that would make me more happy than someone actually taking an interest in trying to come and learn. And I know you come in several times asking questions, and that's great. Hopefully I've given you the answers that I know they're the truthful answers. Hopefully they're answers that people would understand and want to hear.
well, and, we may have another committee meeting. Again, at this point, if we didn't have other people show up here, that we're not getting any questions. I got a question that I'm gonna ask it, in comments, because it wasn't related to any of this, at least directly. And it's important that we do, and again, I'm not advocating for it or against it, I just made a motion for it. Because I do want the public to, we got 3 times. If the day after this thing goes to poll, it's up to the people to vote for it or vote against it. But I want them to have this opportunity, and that's why I'm doing this now, to give us feedback. But if the last time, if we don't want to do it, if we get to the last, pre-reads and we decide against it, it ties right there. But we ought to get there first.
So did we have a motion?
We had a motion and a second.
Okay, good. Anything else? All in favor? Anyone against? Okay, thank you.
Ordinance number 1552, an ordinance calling a special election in the city of Harrison, Arkansas on the question of levying a 0.25% local sales and use tax for the purpose of maintaining police, fire, and other general services and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto and declaring an emergency.
Okay. You said this will be a 3 read, so we have 2 that still come. Wayne?
All right, Mayor, on my next one, it's the ordinance levying the sales tax, ordinance 1553.
I make a motion, that we suspend the rules and place ordinance number 1553 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
And we got a motion and a second discussion.
So this is the ordinance. The other one was what it'll be on the ballot. How it'll be on the ballot.
Yes. One is levying the 1% tax and the other one is putting it on the ballot.
This includes 1552. Let's just stands on which ordinance is speaking.
So is there any way that we can move up? That we've already read the title of the ballot, move up the police, fire, and other general services to the beginning of the title? Versus, I don't know how it's gonna look on the ballot when you're looking at it. But
We'd have to rewrite the ordinance. Or, because we can't modify it here, can we not? Or can we? I guess we actually
And
could.
as long as you start over with your readings.
Why isn't it up further? I mean, you had reason, but I don't call it the reason. I wasn't.
Okay.
The first 2 words.
If I could explain, the ballot language is contained in the specific provision and listed in quotes. That is the actual language that will be printed and appear on both the electronic and paper ballot. The ordinance does not in its entirety. Does that clarify?
That clarifies, but let's say it for those of us that are really stupid. What will how it show?
It will show on page 2 of ordinance 1552, ballot title, the portion that begins in bold with the word for.
We make the police and fire services capitalized, does that matter?
I just didn't place the fire in the 3rd one down. After exactly what it is, yes, that's pretty far.
I mean, if we're comfortable with that, then that's fine, but I just don't want anyone to only have to read 10 words and be like, no, I'm not reading that.
I think Wade, when we had the other Zach's house on the infrastructure, it was that word infrastructure. It was a few sentences down, was it not?
It was, I mean, it had, you gotta have these, some of the language, you gotta start with for adoption and tell them what the tax amount is.
And then,
Within the city, and then you kind of start laying out what it's for.
yeah.
Mhm.
And for the record, if the voters do not approve it, this ordinance does not go into effect.
I came to talk to I talked to the law attorney earlier this last week. And he kind of gave me some ideas on, we had to call it a special election, it's required because it's not on the ballot every time. So we had to call it a special election. I can call him back and see if there's any way to look at those words, but I mean, aside from the words, can you capitalize them or italicize them, bold them to kind of bring them out? Kind of what you're looking for is something.
They'll be standardized. The clerk will require it to be, I believe, in all caps or in initial caps only, and you cannot have underline or bold print. It will be standardized by the clerk, and it's required to be called a special election by statute. And we're required to have them only during the primary election and the general election as of the last legislative session.
So to the council member's point, we could change the language even in the next one, just do a first and second reading.
That's correct.
If somehow we wanted to change this wording, so
Yes.
would you like them to look at wording it in some manner with police and fire code or up?
If you think that it would be beneficial. Because from going off your comments about people that didn't vote for it last time, they didn't know what they were voting for.
I don't,
So I don't want it to be, so,
Because it mentioned, people did read, and it said, it was too broad.
Police and fire was not in the title at all, last time.
right,
well,
Yeah.
there's more that's going on with that. It was 3 or 4 days after the incident with the county's administration. We had a lot going on during there, and it was, the vote was affected by that. And then we had that occur where people didn't, to your point, when nobody knew what they were voting for supposedly, well, that contributed to it. Obviously, it would help, but I think we explore it. And then if we want to change that language, we vote next time.
I think you're still waiting to hear back, or you can call him again.
I think what our city attorney has said probably limits that, but I can at least.
We can look into it and report it to you, but if we pass this on the first reading, then we can change it if we need to.
Once again, call for a vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. good.
Ordinance number 1552, an ordinance, I apologize, I need to go back to 1553. Ordinance number 1553, an ordinance providing for the levy of a 1/4% sales and use tax within the city of Harrison, Arkansas, for the purpose of maintaining police, fire, and other general services and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Okay,
Mayor, that's all I have out of my committee.
all right, Wayne, thank you. Citizen comments, do we have any?
None.
We have none. Council comments.
I did have a question earlier today, Mr. Mayor, for Wade and the group. We discussed this before, and that's one of the reasons why when we have these meetings, and the question comes up over and over, some people might get disappointed that we discuss it over and over. But was asked again, when are we gonna finish the trail? For people that really want, whether they want the tax or don't want the tax, they want the trail. And we have that coming up again as a separate question.
Earliest I can start work on it will be certain date in November, because that is within the window where I have back inactivity. What I'm waiting to find out from RDOT is if I can, because we have grant money involved in this, so we have to meet these requirements. I think I have the option that if we don't use the grant money for the clearing road and do it within that bat inactivity season, I don't have to do a bat study. Which we already had to do a cultural resources study. They required that on a review back early on. That was several months to get that contracted, scheduled, and somebody to come in and do their visibility. So that's kind of my best case is where I can start clearing the road in sometime in November. But also I need RDOT to approve the plans in general, which they have not yet. They've been submitted their third round of review. And they came back with some comments just on the general design that had not come up on previous reviews. So we're trying to get those addressed. One of them is grade limitations that are not feasible with the grade of the area that we're trying to cover. I mean, they're looking at it, and sometimes it depends on who's reviewing it, the individual. So, our designers, they're getting everything addressed. And I'm hoping to have a meeting next week to figure out where we are and really find out what I could do with bats.
So next week, then, you said next week. That's what you said.
I said the earliest I can start construction would be November. That's my best case.
Next week.
And I've not even begun obtaining easements because I don't want to start buying easements until RDOT approves it in case they, force me to change something. Or even worse, we have to do a back survey and we have that.
Best case scenario on Rob's eye. When can I do it? Best case.
Best case, next year, right now, with the bat situation.
Okay.
The other option is it's not a good option for a few reasons, is we would withdraw from the grant, and that's a, yeah, $250,000 grant. Because we don't have any requirements, because it's a federal money to follow that. But I can tell you that will impact our ability to get these grants in the future, because they don't like it when we get it back. So that's, this job is, yeah, actually Godwin's been a heck of a lot easier than this one. And it's, I don't want to say it's just a trepidation, it's complicated.
So why did we go with, why did we go with grants to begin with? Because wasn't this part of the?
It is, it's being heavily funded by the tax, but as construction costs go up, and anytime we get grant money to supplement it and make sure that we've got everything we need, not have to pull from infrastructure or general, or even, street fund, which it is a transportation-based project.
Yeah, but again, those grant people will tell you that you might as well take it. If you don't take it, we give it to somebody else. So if you want Indiana to get it, that's great.
It's just,
If you want somebody in Mississippi to have your money,
it's always good to get grants, because like you said, somebody's gonna get it. And any amount of tax that we pay to the state or the federal that we can get shifted back here, in our community is a good thing.
Okay, so does that answer your question, Mitch?
yes,
November? Maybe.
next year at this time, as far as actually being on trail.
Okay.
And then I would ask one thing of council. Do you think we should have another committee meeting about public input?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Go for it.
we'll schedule another one at some point and hopefully get more people here.
And you're talking in regarding the tax.
In regard to
Okay, so you're talking the finance committee,
Right.
everybody, and I think having that before a council meeting makes a lot of sense.
right.
So, good.
I do have one thing. So how do we get to where we can do what we say we're going to do? I guess with these taxes, it's how the wording is and these taxes keep us to that. Because I have had people call and they're tired of, I guess, us saying we're gonna do something and we do something else. So, in a roundabout way, they don't really, I mean, you can look at it from different views, but from what the public sees, they're just tired of us saying we're gonna do something and it's not being done.
And China, you say the public, you're talking about a few
Voters.
people that might have asked you, not the voters, but some
Well, some voters.
Do you have an example of something we said we were gonna do and didn't? Now, I understand the trail. I mean, we're still gonna do it, but
how many streets have I been done?
yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah, and that.
I'm as frustrated over this as anybody, believe me, because I really think that trail
And are
is
we-
gonna really pop.
Are there any enhancements to the trail because of the grant money? Like, I mean, isn't it our choice that we've waited so long to start it?
I think that would be, we have so much staff. And we have how many projects going on in this city?
No,
Too, I mean, that has to fund them too.
linear, so I'm gonna explain the difference between building project and linear project. By linear, I'm talking about roads, pipelines, trails, anything like that. You can spend $20 million on building or 30 million way faster than you can spend 2-3 million on a linear project, because you do not have funds in the project that you're gonna have to do. This trail, which is great, and it was our choice. Now, I'll be really blunt. If I'd known I was gonna have to do the cultural resource study, if I knew I was gonna have to have potentially a batch survey, if I knew I was gonna have to go through multiple rounds of comments, and every time it's a different set of comments. It's not, it's not, well, we just didn't see this. You've got a complete set of plans. You've seen our grades. Why are you just now wanting us to change grades? And by grades, I'm talking about the slope on the curve. So, I mean, I wish we hadn't gotten grade. And yeah, I mean, it is gonna help us enhance it. It helps us fund the project as far as, costs are going up. Even within a year of passing the tax, we saw a significant construction increase. And it's still going, construction is not stopped going up. I mean, it's levelized a bit. But I do want to explain, there's a huge difference in trying to do one thing in one place. Like a Dollar General is the exact same thing everywhere they do it, yeah, they can do it real quick. A trail that's going across rough terrain and floodway and all that, it's different ballgame. It's just linear projects take longer. And so, yeah, it's easy to get, just to answer that question, saying, we did all of that, well. That was, architect, get plans done, get going, I didn't have near the permit to deal with. And then also, I didn't have the grant that came with a whole lot of other requirements that was shut in.
Yeah, I think also, Josh, at that time, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for Wade, but he had so many projects going on. I mean, more than he's ever had probably together before that. And they were all big projects. And when we talked about building the buildings, building this, he's the guy that's involved in everything to do with all of that. I know I wanted the trail bad, but not getting that trail when Wade is just up to whatever, deep trying to get these other things done. And nobody else in the city can do the things that he can do. None of us. Now.
Right.
And that's because he can do some incredible things. Really.
But going back to what I originally asked, does the verbiage in the text hold us to saying that this is all that we can spend it on?
Yes.
Yes, and
Yes.
we have lived up to all of that for years, even before me, when the 2014 tax. That's why the city council was pretty sharp. They said, we wanted to identify a certain percentage that the police and fire are getting now. And we want to make sure out of every penny that comes into the city, they continue to get that same percentage. And they had some forethought. Almost everything in our budget is allocated and restricted to certain things. It's not like we have $30 million.
We said a property tax now has 30% of that for streets.
Neighborhood preservation. And when you put it in the ballot language and you put it in, it's legally binding with that. And if you veer from it, then somebody can file a sales tax lawsuit, or is that what it's called?
Illegal exaction, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I'm glad you asked these questions because I know the community doesn't understand. They think we have a big problem. Part of it's going in my right pocket, a little bit in my back, and passed it out to you guys. But it's so restricted to every department, every dollar of it pretty much has. When you see our budget, that's it. We can't get away from it. Even if we wanted to, you would have to make that decision. Yeah.
State audit.
Oh, we have 3 of
An
them.
audit just make sure that we, okay,
Yeah,
I mean, an audit just make sure that we do things legally correct, right? Not necessarily, that doesn't keep us from doing what we say we're doing.
I want to say,
It just keeps us
If
legally
yeah,
I
intact,
disagree with that.
making sure that we've done what we're supposed to do.
you're getting into accounting principles of the requirements, not.
Yeah, I would say that when they reviewed that, if that money is spent any way other than that, they would use that as a finding really fast. Like if you reallocated it and spent money differently, then
So all the money that you're referring to, that came from that, the quarter cent to build. It had the language in there for the trail as well. Every single bit of that was spent on stuff that was in that tax. And what was on that ballot. It was for, Creekside, it was for baseball fields, turf, and it was for the trail. And we paid money out of that for the trail. Now. Everything obviously costs a little bit more, but we spent all that money on that stuff. Now, we've had to bring additional money from other places to help finalize everything. Because like you said, as soon as we passed it, costs went up almost immediately. But we did spend all that money on exactly what it was for.
and Luke, I'm trying to figure the budget real quick in my head here. for $29 or $30 million as far as discretionary that you could spend in any manner you wanted to, willy-nilly. It's only, you know, what, 200,000, well, it's less than that, it's probably $100,000 or less. That the mayor would have the discretion, or you would have the discretion, and that's based on the budget. And
It's
that's
based on the budget. We
Right.
don't have that discretion. It's gonna be where it says it's gonna go in the budget.
But like I said, let's say there was $30,000 and it was supposed to go for radios for the police department. You couldn't turn around and take that and spend
No,
it on streetlights.
No, it's gotta be in the police
It's
department.
gotta be in the budget.
Yeah, in
So
the
there's
police
there's
department.
not really, it's probably less than $100,000 that you really could move money around somewhere or do something differently, and that would be based on community projects. That'd be it, and that would have to come with vote from us anyway.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money, 100,000, but when you look at 30 million a year
Yeah.
budget, there's not a lot that we can do.
But
Other
that's what I'm
than-
saying, I remember the year that we had budgeted new radios for the police or fire, one of them, and we couldn't buy them because it was too much money. And we couldn't pull enough money from other budget lines that would justify it, so we didn't get them. I don't remember how long ago.
We've been fortunate that we've had revenue, and we've been able to do things, and we got a lot of things done before costs really went up. We had to build this thing again this year, couldn't, yeah, we'd be down in the old building. Thank God we're not.
Yeah, we had initial cost estimates after we built this from contractors. I believe we spent 9, and they said it easily
14 and a half.
15,
Yep.
right? Almost immediately after we got built.
Yeah,
We were fortunate to get it done when we did.
same with Creekside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the low interest rate,
yeah.
that helps us pay it off a lot quicker.
Yeah, Josh, I really do appreciate those questions because it does give us an opportunity. You know, to make these statements and Michael's gonna print them, somebody will read them, so. that's
Well,
good.
Mayor, we also get lined up with different other municipalities and spending. You know, one of the just completely asinine comments is that I put more money to teachers. Well, the city doesn't hire teachers. We don't have anything to do with the school district as this entity here.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, why would somebody say they'll give more money to teachers?
Yeah, we had a lady out there the other day complaining about the water bill, and it was in Diamond City. For some reason, everybody thinks the city is responsible for everything, you know, and that's okay. That's okay, but we're not. But we're gonna get on that trail. Thank God, I was really hoping we could get that first phase done before I left office. I know it's not even gonna, I'd love for it to start. Maybe they park a backhoe out there. Well, maybe we did it. Hopefully we can bid it. And, so, but now I'm with you on that trail. All right, guys. Hey, the only thing I want to say if we're done with my comments, last week we had a little meeting, several of you were here, and we had 6 very constructive requests. And I really, and you know, when I started that, I said, well, you know, we don't want big money ideas, but there's some little things we might be able to do. And all 6 of those didn't require big money. And the very next morning, Christine came in with a list and we jumped right on it. And I'd say in a couple of weeks, we'll give you a report, and I think you'll be happy with our report. So we're very happy with that meeting. Were you here, Molly? Okay, maybe you come to the next. But with that said, Wayne.
Let's go to the house.
All right, thank you all. Thank you. Oh.
Hey, David.
That's